Nano Banana was the king, the model everyone used, the one that actually worked. But now we have two new challengers.
When the sky falls, one fighter dares to climb the storm. Flux versus a god. This is where legends break.
So I ran 15 different tests. Thumbnails, products, portraits, anime, multi-character scenes. Let's find out which model actually deserves your money.
So Nano 2 and Flux 2 are out. But how good are they? There is one thing special about the announcement of Flux. On paper, they are almost as good as Nano Banana 2. But when we look at the cost, we see there is a huge difference. So Nano Banana is charging around 14 cents per image. And Flux, depending on the model, is charging around 2 cents, which is way cheaper. In terms of quality, they have almost a similar score. But is that true? That's something we have to find out today. Score really doesn't reflect on real-world examples or tests. So if you want to play around with Flux, go to this website here. They provide around 50 images. It's great, but you will see there are a couple of cons. Now, in a nutshell, Flux improved JSON prompting. You can add hex colors. Flux is significantly better when it comes to text and infographics. And also when it comes to photorealistic images, it's already much better than the versions before. But one thing which was always a problem was multi-reference images. That's always something that Flux has struggled. But we will find out if this is now better, because that's what I'm most excited in, to see if this really is standing out here. So what we will test today are a couple of different categories. First, we will test product photography. Then we will test some portraits, basically character consistency, and also how realistic are those looking. Some fashion images, some illustration, and maybe some social media and marketing as well. And of course, one thing I'm already excited to test are the YouTube thumbnails, because that's what all those models have struggled with. I don't know why, but YouTube thumbnail was never that easy to generate. Okay, in order to do a test like that, we need something like FreePic or Weavy to showcase how you could use that and test it for yourself. I would go to FreePic because this is the cheapest and easiest option. You can add one prompt and multiple image models. You just drag here a line and now you can add an image generator. And here you can select your own model. For example, Flux, you can select Flux 2 Pro. Now you can add another model. Let's add Seed Edit 4K and so on. So this is basically how you could build your own test. Here you can add your images. The problem with this method is you really cannot save the results in a way that you can refer later on. It's like you generate those images, but it's not really convenient. Now, if you need a little bit more flexibility in more advanced features, I would use Weavy. This is great, but also something which is annoying is really to save the versions. And after running some tests here, I thought this is actually not usable. That's why I have built my custom app here. But again, this is not about the app, but it just connects to our Airtable database, which I've showed like last week. And this is basically the simplest way for me to test this, and it's also the fastest way. And we can also save all our test results. But again, this is not about the app. You can use FreePic or any other app out there. It's really more about the results themselves. So just a heads up here. Okay, here inside we can just select the models we would like to test today. That's definitely Nano Banana 1, Nano Banana 2, and maybe we want Seed Edit, and of course Flux 2. We will test the normal version, the Pro version, and the Flex version. So now we have selected 6 models. So the great thing is we can connect this to our existing databases. If we have a talent base, we can connect this to our talent base where we can select myself here. Then we can add any inspiration, any assets, any products if we have. So for example, if we have a product catalog, we can just add it without always dragging and dropping. So again, like for testing, much more efficient and better. In our case, we also have a prompt library and inspiration, which we will check later on. Let's start with the first test. In our prompt library, I have prepared some prompts, and let's test with the party hangover prompt here. So here inside, we can see the prompt, basically vintage cell phone style, me drunk, and yeah. This is the prompt here. And let's generate this one as a portrait 9:16 image. We are not enhancing the prompt. We are just sending it as it is. And now let's see. So all we need to do is generate. This takes maybe 10 to 15 seconds before we see the results. Let's pause. We can see the results. Let's close the second here so that we can really focus on the generated images. Now, we can argue that the prompt is bad or not, but again, every model received the same prompt. At the top, we have Nano Banana, the first version, Nano Banana 2, and Seedream. In terms of the face, those are okay. Down here, Flux Edit, I'm really not satisfied, and Flux 2 Flex, also not really. When it comes to the hair, actually only Nano Banana 1 did the best job, but this I think looks the most AI. And this here could be really a real picture, though it changed a little bit my hair, but it was not really specified in the prompt here. But in terms of pure image quality, this is looking so real. I wouldn't believe that this is AI at all. And here it's almost too good. And also the proportions doesn't look so good. So I would definitely give here Nano Banana 2 the highest score. And right after, actually, I prefer even Nano Banana 1 over Flux Pro, and those are not usable at all. So yeah, let's move on to the next test. Let's take out the prompt for now and add music cover. This is a very simple prompt. Let's do it landscape this time. Okay, let's run it again here. This time, this is the prompt. While it's loading, we can see basically it's just creating a portrait image. The first images are there. We have the results. Again, this is for the portrait character consistency. I would say Nano Banana 2 wins this time. It's not even close. Really great image. Exactly how I wrote the prompt. Slight grain, simple backgrounds, and some grills. Very good. I think Nano Banana 1 changed the face a little too much and also looks more artificial. And Flux, I'm not sure, but so far it didn't created any great images. I mean, Flux 2, the edit version, and Flux 2 Flex Edit are absolutely horrible. Like even Seedream was doing a better job here. I like the perspective actually, but it's not what I wrote. So in terms of maybe face and perspective, great, but not the background at all. So it's not what I've asked for. This is somewhat usable. I think from the 3 Flux models, this is definitely by far the best, the Flux 2 Pro. But as I've said, Flux 2 and Flux 2 Edit are really not usable. The background should be clean and simple, like Nano was doing it correct. So let's move on to the next category for now. YouTube thumbnails. Okay, so I have a database full of YouTube thumbnails. Those already contain a ready-to-use prompt. I will share this in the description below. And that's basically something you can also test for yourself. So let's just select a random thumbnail like this one here. There is a ready-to-use prompt, which we can copy. While I do not recommend using Nano Banana here, this is probably the most accessible to people. We can then paste the prompt of this database here. Now we could add a portrait image of myself and this thumbnail. Of course, it would be better if you are reading the prompt and do the adjustments. Let's take out the prompt. And this time we go to inspiration because we have a number. We can just find it this way. We can load the inspiration prompt here so that we have it directly customize and change it. We can see some highlights here so that we see, okay, here is the background we can change, but let's keep it simple as it's not really about the thumbnail, but more about the comparison between those models. Let's run it again and pause it. And here we have the results. I would say this one is close. I prefer Nano Banana and Flux Pro. I think Flux Pro is closer to the reference image. Nano Banana has changed the design. Let's open the record and check the reference image. So we can see the subscriber count here have a slight 3D tilt effect here. And Nano Banana took that completely out. And also overall, I think actually Flux 2 this time did a good job, even keeping like the glasses. In terms of the face and what I'm wearing, Nano Banana is closer. So I think all the other models are not really usable here. I mean, Seedream completely changed the face. So yeah, I would say it's close. Either I would give it to Nano Banana or Flux Pro. And of course, we can now iterate on those images to make it more unique. I run a similar test, this time with this effect here. We have a black and white image on the left side and a saturated image on the right side, but from the same character. This time I was not using my face, but a random AI face. I would say, again, Nano Banana 2 is by far the best, even though we have this visible line. In terms of the face, it's actually exactly the face, and all the other models failed this time, though I would say Nano Banana 1 is somewhat usable, but still, Nano Banana 2 by far the best. Okay, let's move on to the artistic or anime section here. We can see inside this prompt editor, we can change the values, which is great. We turned this image into a younger version of her, like a random character here. And we can see that this time I don't prefer Nano Banana. It's kind of like 3D, and that's not what I wanted. The order has changed because I was doing something else in between. But Nano Banana is this time down here, and Flux Pro is down here. Art style, I would say I still prefer Nano Banana over Flux Pro, but that's also very close. This time I would say Flux Pro did actually a really good job. And I think all the other models are not as good. Like those two stand out. That's the style I really wanted. The table is good. The face is great. And also those neon effects are absolutely amazing. I mean, Nano Banana 2 is crazy good. The table almost looks too real, while her face and overall the enemy style is good, but not as good as like on Nano Banana. This is really the style we wanted. But we can see on Nano Banana 1, the first version, it's kind of like a blend between anime and realism. And also the table is really not well done. This time I would say I prefer Nano Banana 2 the best, and then Flux 2 Pro as the second best option. But considering the price here, I would say Flux 2 is so good. We have, for example, a storyboard app which generates enemies in a large scale. I would say we will replace our current model, which is Nano Banana 1, not to Nano Banana 2, but to Flux 2 because of the price difference. So this is cheaper than Nano Banana, but gets better results for enemy style than Nano Banana. But let's try an accurate image of myself here so that we can test this again. Let's change the talent here. We can also type, of course. Then let's change the prompt here into basically take the reference image here and render it as Akira anime style. Okay, and this time we are doing landscape portrait. Let's change the order again so we will stick more consistent to what we had before. Here we go. I'm not sure why the Flux model did not use the reference image at all. Completely different person here. The background is photorealistic while the foreground is good. I was praising Flux Pro before, but now I would say this is not really usable. Here the face is good. The background is also good. Same here. Of course, this is now a style preference and we can be more specific. We can see that Sea Dream falls behind here. It's also not great for me. And Flux this time failed completely. Not sure what happened there. As I've mentioned in the prompt here, character reference, and I included the image, but maybe I have to be more specific. Now I have changed the prompt a little bit. This time I really specify it, like use the reference image here. And also in terms of the background, I am more specific now to be in the same style. So let's see how it's performing this time. Let's just save it here. Akira, simple. Now let's render with a more specific instruction. I so far prefer Nano Banana almost on every image, but sometimes it has such a lag. And when I'm going to the provider, I'm using file. Look at this here. I'm waiting for almost 4 minutes. It's still in progress. I mean, that's the downside here. Some images that takes just so much longer. Every other image was done after 10 seconds, but this is still not done. This is crazy. While on the first Akira style image, Flux Pro was quite good. As soon as I'm more specific, I have to say I still prefer Nano Banana 2 now. Yeah, so this time I even prefer Nano Banana 1. Like from the image before, this is way better in terms of the face reproduction than this here. I mean, this is a complete different face. And look at the background. I mean, I have been specific this time about the background, but this is too real. Here we have nice background, nice style. And yeah, so far, Flux 2 edit, most of the images so far are not usable at all. Flex, somewhat okay. But yeah, Nano Banana wins this one hands down. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to product category. Product images here, and let's select our generated image from the last video, Chamel, and now let's pick an inspiration here. Let's select 83. So the first image will be simple, and we can see here, we can now just include the given prompt here. It will look like this, or we can let AI enhance it and combine both. That's always better, but takes a little bit longer because AI has first to enhance it and then writes the prompt based on the image. Let's generate this one now. And here we go. We are all close to the reference. At least this is good. We have here Nano Banana. The logo is not really visible, but that's fine because the fingers are there. If we look in, Nano Banana cannot render images at a good quality. I think 720 is the maximum resolution here. Some of the details are missing. But if we would have used another example, I'm pretty sure that all the details would remain. Here, this is Nano Banana 2. The details are there, but her fingers are where the logo is, so we can't really judge. This time, I would say Edit has a usable image. It's not completely a waste. That's actually usable. The logo is there. Seed Edit was not doing a great job here. I have to say I did not select the 4K model to be more close to all results here. So the maximum resolution for Seed Edit I gave, I think, was 2K. Same for Nano Banana, 2K. And for the other models here as well, 2K, so that we are comparing really not 4K versus 720p. Let's select this time an inspiration where it's more about the logo itself. Let's generate the image here in another format, portrait this time, and here is the prompt. You can take a screenshot or read it and pause. We have included a reference image which is looking like this, and of course our product. Now we can see here in terms of the product details, I think Seed Edit is already out. It does not have any great details here. And I have to say, I prefer even the generated image of Flux. The details are crisp, very good. And of course, we can always increase the quality because this is just 2K. But we can render the images even in 4K and we can see everything is well rendered. And not only that, but when we look here at the shadows, this is actually more realistic than what we have on Nano Banana. We can see it took the image, like the reference image as from before, and just replace it with the product. There was no real, it doesn't feel like it really belongs to the image. I think here in this test, this time Flux 2 has the edge, and we can see Nano Banana 1. While the shadows are good, it didn't feel like this is one image. It's like pasted in and not well integrated. And we can see where it's coming from. We have this area here, and in this image it makes sense, but here it doesn't. Something like that could be easily fixed with your prompt, but out of the batch here, Flux 2 Pro did a good job. The other Flux models are not good. For the next product test, we just took the prompt, but did not include any reference image. I will show the reference image, and you can take a screenshot. This was the reference image, but we did not include the reference image. I just loaded up here again so that you can see how the reference image was. The reference image was not included here. We can see that in terms of the product, I would say Flux 2 Pro is actually good. Even though this here looks like tinted, it's adjusting its setting to the background. You can argue which one you prefer more, but in terms of details, it's very crisp. We have here great edges. That's always a problem with the Nano Banana models. The edges are not adjusted to the background, but here on Flux 2, great text, great edges. When we look at the reference image before, that was also tilted. So it listened to what was written in the prompt, while on Nano Banana, it looks clean, but we can see it didn't really apply the rim light here as accurate as on Flux. So again, like in terms of the product, this is a preference choice, but I would say it's quite close this time. And maybe I would even prefer Flux 2 over Nana, because it listened more to the prompt and adjusted also really the whole vibe here. Flux 2 normal and Flex are for me not usable again, and seed edit as well. And while Nano Banana 1 is usable, we can see it lacks here in the details. It is not as crisp. Of course, this is because of the resolution limitation here. So all in all, I have to say, in terms of products and typography, Flux is actually doing a good job and also is listening more and adjusting the edges here better. Okay, on this example, we have this prompt here, but took out all the logos, text, and graphics besides the product itself. This is the reference. In this prompt, we did not include any of the typo. That's something we do next. And as we can see here, Nano Banana has the same issue. It's not adjusting here on the corners. No good rim light. It feels more like we cut the background and put the image here. On the other side, when we look at Flux, we can see actually on the reflection we have red and here also red. So it's adjusted the image. We have a crisp image. And again, this is of course a preference choice, but for me, Flux did a better job, although it was not like the reference image, but more like an own version of it. Because if we look at the reference image, this is how it should look. When we look at Nano Banana, it is closer to the reference image, but still I would prefer, just in terms of like right out of batch, I would still prefer Flux Pro. And again, those other Flux models not usable again. And same for Quen Edit here and Nano Banana 1. Same issue here. It feels like copy paste. And if we are not specifying it in the prompt, it will not adjust on its own. Now here a more intensive prompt, really trying to maintain all the details that the reference image has, also with the same values here, which of course we can change. We can specify that in the prompt. Again, this is the reference image here. As we can see, while all the other models had no problem, Nano Banana 1 has a common problem I had discussing already in my prompt video, which is if it's confused a lot of the times which is the reference image and what is the product. So it did not change the product here. But in terms of typography and how it's written, it's great. And while we have the product, when we look at the rim light, it did not adjust based on what we have here. Good job here. I would say not so good here, but at least it is smart enough to render the right product. But if we are not specifying the rim light, we have the same problem. On the other hand, I would say Flux 2 again is the winner here. I would still do a little change here because now is like covered here in smoke, but great text, great image. If we zoom in closer, we can see that the rim light has adjusted, though at the top not really, but at least on the side. This could be fixed out of the batch. I would say Flux 2 Pro wins this battle. Now I wanted to test the multi-reference image. I have here two characters, one female, one male, one shirt, and one product included. Here is the prompt. I was trying to keep it simple first. And of course, we can always adjust and write the prompt better here. Every model still has a problem generating. At least the Nano Banana did not change my face, but it changed her face. In terms of multi-image, I think Nano Banana is the winner. As we can see here, the Flux is not as good, completely changed everything. But on the Nano Banana here, it was doing somewhat a decent job, but unfortunately the t-shirt here was not accurate. As we can see, it should be like that and not like this here. Okay, so now I was running this simple prompt here. I gave it 7 characters and very simple prompt. This time I was trying not to confuse the AI, and Nano Banana, what a fantastic job here. Every character very accurate. And Nano Banana 1 in comparison, it's a day and night difference here. No character remained the same, and I would say seed edit also fall apart. And here we can see another issue, which we can fix. Let's go to the issue. The normal version just allowed 3 images. That's why it was not rendering. And on Flux 2 Pro, we are allowed only to have a total of 9 megapixels, which means our images are a little bit too big. We have to convert them. Let's just take out 2 people here, and now we have a total of 5 people. Let's run the same test again. And of course, the normal Flux 2 model just allowed 3 images, so that's why it's failing, it's not rendering. And we can see here the Flux 2 still is confused. The characters themselves, 1, 2, and 3. The characters themselves are okay, at least 2 of them are okay, but I don't know where she's coming from. Maybe it should be her, but it's not really the same. What we can see here is Nano Banana, perfect image, exactly. All those characters are AI generated characters. That's why it's also looking here like AI generated, but I just want to see if it really is consistent. And we can see here the images here. Every type was 100% accurate in compared to Seed Edit or also the version 1 Nano Banana. It is really the best model. All in all, so far I can say Nano Banana is the best model here for the multi-image, trying to get as many characters as possible. As a second option, I would go with Flux 2 Pro. I think all the other models are not really usable here. Okay, so now let's run the last test. This is a very simple prompt. This time we have 1 character and 1 product in a UGC lifestyle image. Here we have the face and the product, which is very bad quality, but that's okay. I just wanted to see how those models are performing. And I would say actually this was maybe the easiest test because all the models were doing decent, though I have to say Nano Banana for me again is the best model here. It has really great, it really looks like almost a real image, and if we are not zooming in, I would not believe that this is AI. The face, the t-shirt, and overall the perspective, the slight grain, it's very, very great here. On the other side, I also actually like the Flux 2. In my taste, it added a little bit too much grain, but I'm pretty sure that could be fixed with a prompt. The face is good, the logo, the t-shirt is good, and it's also looking real here, at least real enough if you are not paying close attention. I prefer Nano as the winner and Flux 2 as the second choice. Nano Banana 1 is also doing a good job. But in compared to those 2 other options, I would say the last test, again, like a lifestyle image, but this time with a cinematic mood. This is the prompt here. And we can see this is the character again. And we have this as an inspiration. We have a classic orange and teal image here. We want to see not only can it generate a good character, but also the look and the feel of the model, especially with the orange and teal part. We can see without even zooming in that Nano Banana already the best, though we could argue Flex also is looking decent. And if we have a closer look here, the image itself is very good. Nano Banana killed it on this one. Absolutely amazing. We have our orange, we have our teal. The face is exactly how she's looking. Perfect cinematic look and feel. This is just amazing. While Flux Pro 99% of the time was performing better than Flex or normal, I would say in this case the face is okay, but it was not like the reference image. Also, if we look at how the teal was rendered, this is like less teal, less as we wanted. Now we can argue Seed Edit here, the image is looking okay, but it's not the face, but at least this part here is correct. And Nano Banana, as usual, always has a problem. It did this good and also teal good, but without the right face, the image is useless. And I don't know what happened here.
So after all these tests, here's what I found. For portraits, character consistency, and multi-reference images, Nano Banana 2 wins. It's not even close. For product photography and typography, Flux 2 Pro actually surprised me. The rim lights, the edge adjustments, the text rendering, really solid. You get 7 images for the cost of 1 Nano Banana image. That adds up fast when you're rendering hundreds. So my recommendation, use Nano Banana 2 when faces and consistency matter. Use Flux 2 Pro when products and text matter. Links to all the prompts and the thumbnail database are in the description.